That's right, it's KP's Video News. And today has been one of those days, man, where we have had a lot of things going on in the news, but today was the day that they did the George Floyd Memorial. They laid him to, they're going to do several, but this one they had they had one in Minneapolis. Hundreds streamed into a memorial service Thursday to salute and grieve George Floyd, recalled as a gentle soul and commanding presence, and demand justice for a life cut short by evil. Family members, activists, and other mourners paid tribute to Floyd, whose death in police custody has captured on a video that horrified much of the country and precipitated widespread protest. The memorial featured a moment of silence that lasted 8 minutes and 46 seconds, the length of the time the policeman pressed his knee against Floyd's neck as he lay on the ground handcuffed May 25th, gasping that he couldn't breathe and calling for his mother before dying. George Floyd's story has been the story of black folks, civil rights leader Al Sharpton said in a eulogy at the conclusion of the service, because ever since 401 years ago, the reason we could never be who we wanted and dreamed to be is you kept your knee on our neck. It's time for us to stand up in George's name and say, get your knee off our necks. Sharpton also said he's organizing a rally at the nation's capital, the site of continuing demonstrations across the White House, scheduled for August 28th, the 57th anniversary of the historic March on Washington. The 4 police officers linked to Floyd's arrest and killing were dismissed from the force and charged with crimes, the most serious being second-degree murder, citing precedent in similar cases. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison had said convicting them would be a tough task. Benjamin Crump, a lawyer representing the family, focused his remarks on the need for justice, not just for Floyd, but for others who encountered a similar fate. What we saw in that video was evil. So America, we proclaim as we memorialize George Floyd, do not cooperate with evil. Protest against evil, Crump said, his voice rising along with those in attendance who applauded. Join the young people in the streets protesting against the evil, the inhumane, the torture that they have witnessed on that video. Many at the service wore face coverings as a measure to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, but few could maintain social distance at the Lincoln Sanctuary in North Central University. Among the people attending, Jesse Jackson, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Senator Amy Klobuchar, Mayor Jacob Frey. University President Scott Hagan said a scholarship would be established in Floyd's name, and he urged his colleagues at other colleges to follow suit. Hagan said the school had received $53,000 in donations for the scholarship fund. It is time to invest like never before in a new generation of young black Americans who are poised and ready to take leadership of our nation, Hagan said. So university presidents, let's step up. Floyd's siblings shared stories about the gentle nature of the 6'4" brother who, despite his imposing size, was a magnet for friends in their Houston community. It was just amazing. Everywhere you go and see people, how they cling to him. They wanted to be around him. They wanted to be near him. And George, he said, was like a general. Every day he walks outside and there's a line of people. They wanted to greet him and they wanted to have fun with him. Before asking for the extended moments of silence, Sharpton recounted a conversation he had the previous day with Quincy Mason, Floyd, one of Floyd's children. Quincy said, I was thinking maybe he was calling his mother because at the point that he was dying, his mother was stretching her hands out, saying, come on, George, I'll welcome you where the wicked will cease from troubling, where the weary will be at rest. There's a place where police don't put knees on you, George. There's a place that prosecutors don't drag their feet. The first of several services scheduled for Floyd culminating in his funeral Tuesday in Houston, came a day after Ellison announced criminal charges against 3 of the 4 police officers at the scene of his killing. Bail was set Thursday at $750,000 for each of the 3. The 4 officers, Derek Chauvin, had a charge of third-degree murder against him, upgraded to second degree. Chauvin is seen in the video kneeling on Floyd's neck, and documents released Wednesday indicate the policeman kept the pressure on for 2 minutes after another officer failed to detect a pulse on Floyd. The graphic images of another black man being killed by a white officer. The death was ruled a homicide by Hennepin County medical examiner, led to more than a week of protest initially in Minneapolis, then spread quickly across the country and eventually internationally. Ellison was among the elected officials who on Thursday stopped by the growing memorial of flowers and signs outside the Cup Foods in East 38th Street and Chicago Avenue, where Floyd was arrested and killed. Democrat, Republicans, Omar of Minnesota, Val Demings of Florida, Maxine Waters of California also paid their respects at the site, joining other mourners in prayer. Breonna Matris and Mary Davis, both Native Americans, made the 1-hour trip from Pine City, Minnesota, seeking to share their heartbreak with others who felt the same way. "We are struggling," Matris said. "What do we do with all that grief? What do we do with all that sadness? What do we do with all that hurt that hurts us so deep?" The majority of the demonstration after Floyd's death has been peaceful, and as protesters held up signs supporting the Black Lives Matter movement and chanted, "I can't breathe," Floyd's last words as he lay in a Minnesota street penned by Chauvin. At times, the rallies have been a little hectic. However, Floyd was arrested for allegedly passing a counterfeit $20 bill. Has become the latest symbol of simmering frustration over inequities felt by the black community, whose grievances have often gone unheeded and unheard. So, also a study last year by proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that 1 black man in every 1,000 gets killed by police, compared to every 2,460 of white men, who outnumber black men by more than 5 times. So this is they had President Barack Obama also sounded a note of hope. So therefore I'm going to read his what Barack Obama had said yesterday when he did a town hall meeting yesterday. And Obama praises George Floyd protesters in Washington. In his first extended remarks on the civil unrest that has roiled the nation following the killing of unarmed civilian George Floyd by police officers in Minneapolis, President Obama sounded a cautious, optimistic note Wednesday, praising the protests that have gathered from Sunset Boulevard to Pennsylvania Avenue, and reminding policymakers and elected officials that his own administration offered a plan for police reform. In a virtual town hall, Obama said that this difficult moment in the nation's history was an incredible opportunity for the people to be awakened to the effects of racial injustice. Floyd was black, while the police officer charged with killing him is white. The latest death of an unarmed African American followed several other instances of racial violence across the country. Without addressing instances that mark some of the protests, the nation's first black president and Chicago community activists encouraged constructive civil disobedience to bring about real change. We have to both have the highest problem, highlight a problem, and to make people in power uncomfortable, Obama said. But we also have to translate that into practical solutions and laws that could be implemented. Online conversation titled "Anguish in Action" was hosted by the Obama Foundation, the president's philanthropical foundation. It was part of an initiative Obama started while in the White House called "My Brother's Keeper," which was intended to address persistent issues facing men of color. Other speakers included Eric Holder, Obama's first Attorney General and first African American to hold that position. And this thing goes international, and we have young brother Lewis Hamilton, and Lewis Hamilton is a F1 Formula One race car driver. It's a black race car driver from England, and he stated that he was completely overcome with rage, as he says black people should not have to feel as if they were born guilty. I'm going to start off my next episode with him. So I don't know, folks. It's a sad day. You know, they did a memorial in Minneapolis today. They're going to actually bury Mr. Floyd next Tuesday, and they have another memorial scheduled somewhere else. And I couldn't tell you exactly where that one is right now, but I will find out, and I will get back to you on that. Rest in peace, George Floyd. Rest in peace, man.